Now, the problem with the decoupling that I talked about, which is the Attorney General and Minister of Justice thing, the problem with that is that Chachu and Ahoy had locked that argument here because they were worried. So they said that the Attorney General so appointed under the Constitution shall be a Minister of State. That's a politician. So they locked up the Attorney General position. So those who were saying they were to be decoupled, they were told that, listen, even if you decouple it, under the law, the Attorney General is a Minister of State. No Minister of State is a Minister of State unless he has gone through vetting, unless he has gone through appointment committee hearings. That's political. So you can decide to call somebody Minister for Justice and call another person Attorney General. But the Attorney General so appointed under 88, which is entrenched, that Attorney General is a Minister of State. This is what got Akufo-Addo to depart from the conversation that let's decouple. Because even if you decouple, here you are, you're going to have this problem. So that's Article 88.1. 88.2. The Attorney General shall discharge such other duties of a legal nature as may be referred or assigned to him by the President or imposed on him by this Constitution. Again, another problem. The Attorney General has conversations with the President and the job imposed by him by the Constitution. He's not that regular Attorney General like an ombudsman or a Shraj that Ghanaians can walk to and say this and that. And that's also locked up in the Constitution. So you can have an Attorney General who is not a politician, you want to decouple, but you will still have to use one, which makes him a Minister of State, and two, which makes the President his client, maybe only client. That's very important. But the Minister of Justice is also there. So let's move on. 3, the Attorney General shall be responsible for the initiation and conduct of all prosecutions of criminal offenses. That's the first problem. The Attorney General shall be responsible for the initiation and the conduct of all prosecutions or criminal offenses. How does that sound to you? So you can now understand where the difficulty is coming from. Why then do you have another person called OSP doing prosecutions? But let's go on. 4, that's Article 88.4. All offenses prosecuted in the name of the Republic of Ghana shall be at the suit of the Attorney General or any other person authorized by him in accordance with any law. So the law of the Constitution recognizes that the Attorney General might not be able to conduct all prosecutions. But it says here that the other people who can conduct prosecutions must be authorized by the learned Attorney General and Minister for Justice. This is the crux of the matter. This is the crunch of the battle between the Office of the Special Prosecutor and the Office of the Attorney General. That we haven't authorized you. Why are you doing it? You cannot do prosecution. 88.3 says that the Attorney General initiates prosecution. The only thing you can do is come under 88.4. 88.4 say authorized. Where is your authority? Who gave you the authority to prosecute? That's the fight. Let's go on and I'll show you where the hypocrisy is. This is the law of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It's called Act 959, passed by Parliament. And Section 4 thereof says as follows. Section 4.1. Except as otherwise provided in the Constitution, the office is not subject to the direction or control of a person or an authority in the performance of the functions of the office. Fantastic. But it says, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. Would you suggest that the provisions of 88 is the otherwise here, where it says the Attorney General is the one who initiates, blah, blah, blah? Think about it. We'll get there. Sorry, this is boring. I'll finish very soon. Okay, 2. 88.2. Subject to Clause 4 of Article 88 of the Constitution, the office shall, please ignore that it's a typo. The office shall, not the office all. The office shall, for the purposes of this act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution of corruption and corruption-related offenses. Now, this is where those who are supporting Kisi Ajabi are standing. 2, it says to the Attorney General, by an act of Parliament, that you, the Attorney General, you don't have an option. This is the crux of the conversation. The Act 2 here, at 95942, seems to say that Attorney General, Parliament is imposing on you an automatic authorization of the Special Prosecutor. That's what Parliament did. That's what they are. That's what I'm just giving you pros and cons. I'll come to my own matter. I've not yet stated our opinion. I'm just telling you the foundation. So here, those supporting Kisi Ajami says, go and read 4.2. It says, subject to clause 4 of Article 88 of the Constitution, the office shall, for the purpose of this act, be authorized by the Attorney General to initiate and conduct the prosecution of corrupt and corrupt-related offenses. So the Attorney General, you shall. That's what the Act of Parliament says. Unless the Attorney General says that my responsibility in Article 88 by Constitution, which is a higher law, is conflicting with what Parliament has asked me to do. So I want to go to the court, or I want to write to Parliament that, did you say to me in this act that the OSP can do what he likes without my authorization? Should I give him a tacit authorization, or that the authorization that you granted in 4.2 is sacrosanct and is enduring? That means he doesn't have to come back. It is already authorized. This is the conversation. So the Attorney General is saying that I am coming under Constitution. So viewers, I didn't tell them, but Article 11, you can just Google it. If you Google Article 11, it outlines the laws of Ghana in terms of the hierarchy, and you will see that the Constitution is number 1 and Act of Parliament is number 2. So if Act of Parliament says something is yellow and the Constitution says something is blue, that something is blue. It's not yellow, because the Constitution is a superior law. I hope we get that. Okay. Now I'm finishing the boring part. Let's get into the facts. So this is the case. So OSP says, hey, I'm not going nowhere. You, Attorney General, forget about yourself. I'm not going nowhere. And then this one says, you have to go, because Article 88 does not give you the power for independent prosecution. You need to talk to the Attorney General. Then this morning, am I moving on to the next folder will come up soon. This morning, as all of these conversations are going on, Justice Sremsai, the Deputy Attorney General, about whom we have a story, says the Attorney General will comply with an order on the OSP cases. So they are saying, and we don't know how they are going to do it, but they will have to perhaps write to the OSP and compel him to release the material to them. I don't know whether they will have the power to compel him by law, or they will physically compel him. I don't know whether the OSP will feel obliged to hand over anything to them. The OSP can decide to discontinue cases and keep the investigative report to himself. In the circumstances, he may decide that I'm not prosecuting, so I don't need you. I'm still investigating. Whatever it is. But this statement from the Deputy Attorney General this morning prompted a lot of conversation.